Hi guys and welcome to my YouTube channel Pretty in Paper by B, where we are all about sharing the joy of pretty papers. Now for today's tutorial we're going to make a piece of Christmas home decor, and we're going to use the iris folding technique, of course, to make a piece of Xmas wall art just like this one. Really simple. So even if you've never done iris folding before, today is a super good place to start. So everything you need to make your Christmas wreath wall art is in the box down below. So gather your supplies, get comfy, and let's get crafting. As you can see, I've got all my supplies out in front of me ready for today's session, and I've downloaded, printed off and cut up the Wreath wall art PDF. Now we're going to make a piece of wall art slightly smaller than this template today, so I'm just going to cut out the circle following the outer solid black line. Now that I've got my wreath shape ready, I'm going to start with my slightly smaller card square. I suggest using a plain colour for this, maybe white. Place your circle template in the centre of your piece of card and draw around the outer edge of your circle. This will be a line that you can follow to cut out your wreath template. Once you've finished drawing around the outside, then follow the solid black line for the centre circle and trace into the card. Now you should have an outer pencil line and an inner circle indented line into your card base. You can follow both of these lines to cut out your circle shapes. So with a craft knife and a cutting mat, follow your pencil line and your indentation line to create your circles, ready for iris folding. Now you've finished cutting out both of your circles, move the cutting mat to one side because you're not going to need this anymore. And make sure you hold on to the circles that you've cut out as well as the aperture, because we are going to need one of these later. Okay, so next step, grab your wreath pattern from your digital PDF download and use a couple of pieces of blue tack to secure this to your table. And this stops it moving throughout the iris folding process, making sure that your lines and your paper strips are in the right place. So once you've got your wreath iris folding pattern stuck to the table, grab a couple more pieces of blue tack and repeat this step with the card aperture that you've made. And then stick this over the top of your wreath pattern so you can see all the numbers and lines through the middle. Okay, so now it's time to think about our pretty papers. Now you can see from the PDF download that there is also a pattern guide. And on this we've got 6 different paper colours. So I've got 6 different papers out at the top. Now with each of your pretty papers you need to cut a couple of paper strips. Make sure these are about 2.5 centimetres wide of each paper. Once you've got all your paper strips ready, take a strip of your paper colour A and fold over an edge of about 7mm wide, just wide enough to create a nice crease in your paper strip. Cut a section large enough to cover number 1 on your iris folding pattern, and with the folded edge facing towards the centre of your wreath, secure in place with a couple of pieces of sticky tape. Make sure that none of your sticky tape overlaps into your wreath window or the edge of the card base. Then move on to paper colour B and repeat this process again, folding over an edge, cutting a strip large enough to cover number 2 on the pattern, and with the folded edge facing inwards, secure in place with the sticky tape again. And repeat this process around your wreath iris folding pattern following the pattern guide. Once the final strip of your pretty papers is in place, it's time to think about covering the hole in the centre of our wreath. Now to do this, we're going to use the smaller white circle that we cut out earlier. But first, turn over and reveal your iris folding wreath. It's looking pretty cool already, right? Okay, so you see how this circle fits nicely in the centre and just overlaps those inner folds. Well, now it's time to stick it to the wreath. Now, using a little bit of PVA glue, draw a small amount of glue around the edge of your circle, as close to the edge as you can get it, so it just overlaps onto the iris folding folds. Turn over and stick to those inner paper folds so you can't see any of the piece of paper underneath. Perfect! Starting to look like a wreath now, right? Okay, now it's time to add some finishing touches and cover the back of our messy folds. Turn over your wreath iris folding and using some foam sticky pads, place a border of these around the back of your wreath card. Start with the corners and then space them out every 4 or 5 centimetres or so. After this, peel the backs off and you might need to add another layer of foam sticky pads, depending on how thick the papers are that you've used. So I'm going to do just that. Once I've peeled the backs off, I can then mount to the larger square of card that we prepared earlier. As you can see, I've chosen a nice forest green for my card base, just to tie in with the green papers that I've used throughout the wreath. And this just creates a nice border to the wall art that we're making today. Okay, now just time for those little finishing touches. So I've cut out this glitter bow using a template I found on the Silhouette Design Store. I'll put a link in the description box in case you want to make one too. Now this is super easy to make. You just need a couple of bits of PVA glue on the tabs at the end and fold each bow into the centre. Now if you're using PVA glue like me, you might need to give this time to dry. So you can use a peg or a paper clip or something to hold the tabs together while the glue dries. Now I've got both tabs in the middle. So yep, I'm probably going to put a little peg on this. As you can see, it doesn't stay together very well, or a pair of tweezers just to hold it together. Okay, so while my bow's drying, I'm going to apply my Merry Christmas greetings to the centre of my wreath. And I've done this in some glitter silver card. I just thought this would be a nice way to add a bit of extra sparkle to the design. So again, just using my PVA glue and my tweezers to place these in the centre. Now I've got my sentiment stuck to the middle of the wreath. I think my bow will be dry and ready for construction. Okay, so the little tails to the end of my glitter bow, I'm going to stick these to the bottom middle of my wreath, using a bit of PVA glue to the centre again, and lining up with the middle. I thought this would just be a little cute way to finish off my wreath wall art. And I'm going to stick my bows over the top and finish with a little circle of glitter card in the centre. Now that I've finished adding the finishing touches to my bow, I think we're about done here. So you could add this wreath wall art to a box frame or hang on your wall to decorate your home at Christmas time. I hope you've enjoyed the video today, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.